Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Just make sure I'm live on Facebook as well. So yeah, should be live on Facebook and YouTube. And welcome to part 2 of, I suppose, my plans to empower Native Americans. Thinking about a theme on Tuesdays. Normally I think of things that begin with T, although I also think about business and banking reason on Tuesdays. So yeah, there's a follow-on from part 1, of course, and the second part of my list, and these are pointers number 11 to 20. I'm about, I meant to start at 2 and it's nearly 5, unfortunately, so I'm about almost 3 hours late, just over 2.5 hours late, 2 hours and 40 minutes late, but according to my mobile. But I went for a walk earlier. I wanted to say a little side story, but I went for a walk and my cat was following me as usual, and he's a ginger cat, but there was another ginger cat. I think someone calls him Marmalade. I don't know if that's his real name. I assume it's a boy, and I suppose they're a bit feisty, I think, as well. And a lot of time I think like animals being the same, whether male or female, but I think there's like males are often stronger or whatever. But anyway, especially in mammals anyway. But anyway, this cat was following my cat and started to seem to attack him. My cat was running away, so I was a bit nervous, and he went underneath someone's car. The lady came out of the house and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I think my cat's been attacked under that car or something like that. So she tried to shoo away the cat, so to speak. And I think she had a go at my cat, no, not very housing, and was like, where did you come from? Get out of here. And then I was like, oh, that's my cat, by the way. She was like, oh, I couldn't see him like with my naked eye or whatever. But yeah, so anyway, and then the cat kept following him and he kept going underneath this. He went underneath my next door neighbours, in fact, one of his fans. So it was a bit of a nightmare. I was a bit worried whether he's going to get into a fight. So I'm a bit worried when I let him out now. So I know that's not anything to do with the topic, but I thought I'd just say that nice life story, or not so nice life story. Obviously, normally I say nice life story as in being sarcastic. But yeah, I probably give too much info. But yeah, so I'm a bit worried about when I let my cat out to make sure he's safe. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. These are pointers number 11 to 20. I hope my cat will be as safe for as long as possible. And by the way, I know I said this in part 1, I'm pretty sure, but it's my dad's birthday today, so please wish my dad a happy birthday in the comments if you'd be so kind. I thought I'd ask him. People don't, no one seems to comment when I say, someone else people to comment, but please do if you'd be so kind. But as ever, please, on that note, let me know your opinions on any points I cover. But here goes. So number 11, I'd love to support Native Americans to change their situation and hopefully improve it, and hopefully actually make a genuine difference. I hope these ideas can be put into practice to change their life for the better. I hope they can network together, run businesses together, be involved in banking, be supported to get into careers in tech companies like Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, Apple, and others could include more Native Americans, like in terms of like having a more diverse workforce. So I suppose they could include black people and neurodivergent people as well, and that kind of thing. But I think one of the groups they could include more of is Native Americans, I guess, to help them to get into tech careers, and also help them network together and learn to invest and things like that, so they can invest their salaries. And I'd love to know different ways to empower Native Americans. As well as other minority communities. But yeah, so I love to support them to become inventors, investors, ideas people, and be confident in putting their ideas into practice, learning to invest. I'm a great believer in investing. I think when you save money, I think it's very, it's playing it safe, but it's not very inspiring, and it's not much fun. It's like kind of a bit boring and not very, it doesn't inspire you to push yourself, I don't think, although I'm very lazy. But if I'm honest, if truth be told, but I always try and be as honest as possible in these videos. Not that I'm not normally honest, if I can help it. I tell a lie now and then, but yeah, so I think when you save money, it's it also psychologically, that's what I was going to say, I'm trying to remember my train of thought there. It psychologically says there's not much money in the world, but actually there's more money in the world now than there's ever been. Now, I suppose some people say, oh, that's because the rich are hoarding it, or whatever. But I think that's because people are not taught about money in schools. And not saying I'm an expert by any stretch of imagination, but I think I'm learning as I go along. And unfortunately, it took me this long to, I think, learn about money. But if you're young, you've got a massive advantage because time is on your side. People talk about experience, but to me, I'm not very good at doing. But to me, experience comes from doing things. The more you do things, the more you take on things, the more mistakes you make, and things like the more experience you'll get. And I think it's better to put an old head on young shoulders rather than the other way around. Although it's good to be young at heart in some ways, but I think that's similar with football or soccer or whatever you call it. I think that's what Italian football needs to do. I won't talk about Italian football and Celtic, but because I'm focusing on Native Americans, I try to stay on topic, but as much as I can. But yeah, I think people think that money is scarce rather than it's abundant, and I think that's where people go wrong. And I think school is dumbing down people to just work for the elites, so to speak, to work for the rich rather than create their own. But I've been listening to people like Robert Kiyosaki a little bit, Simon Squibb, or as I sometimes jokingly call him Simon Squid, because he's got dyslexia as well, but it's a dyslexic way of saying it, perhaps transposing B's and D's, and I think it's quite fitting, or maybe not. But yeah, so it's one of the things I was going to say. I'm going to say something else, but later I'm going to wait till the end of the video actually, because I was going to say it, but I'm going to move on to point number 12. And I talked about teach for Native America, train for Native America, as I put it. Please teach for and please train for Native America in part 1. So on Mondays, I say motivation and mentorship. Mondays and being role models and things like that. But because of my use of alliterations, I'm thinking like teach and train and that kind of thing. People teaching about business and things like that. I know I covered that in part 1. But I think they could achieve a lot more by networking together. I know I talked also towards the end of the video. My videos do go on a bit long, so I do try and get to the point, so please forgive me. But I talked about how, like when they graduate, many Native Americans from some certain tribes get, or at least a few Native Americans get, like 100,000 or even a couple of 100,000 at 18 years old, which is a ridiculous amount of money at that age. Many people don't earn that really in a lifetime, or by the time you paid your bills and all that kind of thing. Very few people have that in their account, certainly over a year of time. And I suppose it encourages people to graduate, but I'm not a big fan of academia. But I wonder if it would be better if they just put that money into a trust fund. And so we're going to learn to invest and learn about finances. I'm a great believer in like financial literacy rather than academic literacy necessarily. And I wonder if, maybe I'm being naive here, but I wonder if learning about AI and app development and things like that is going to be more important, if it's not already, than like reading and writing. I know you probably need a certain amount of that for AI, especially like maths and all that. That's another thing I was going to say. But I wonder if there's a way maybe you don't even need to be good at maths, or maybe not. Maybe there is a certain amount of maths that's in it. But yeah, I think it's a bigger skill to learn about tech than it is reading or writing. Like someone with dyslexia, I'm talking about neurodiversity, and someone with dyslexia or ADHD or whatever that struggles, or even dyscalculia. I'd like to think there's hope. Dyscalculia being maths dyslexia. I'd like to think there's hope that they can still achieve in spite of their struggles. I mean, some people might say do more remediation of what you're weak at, but as Simon Squibb puts it, in school they tell you to double down on what you're weak at rather than focus on what you're good at and double down on that. But yeah, sharing different opinions, of course. But moving on that note, number 13. I'd love for Native Americans to talk about some of the troubles they face, because I think if we face those troubles, we can look at how to address them. Potential allies like myself, wannabe allies in my case, can actually work together to try and help them. And as ever, from a selfish point of view, I'd love to see, and again, and I'll mention this in part 1, but I'd love to see what Italian football can do to benefit Native Americans and Indigenous people across the Americas, and also vice versa. I'd love for them to see what they can do to benefit. I'd love to see Italian teams like Roma and Torino, not the Italian teams, Serie A teams, on the Inter Madcap. But as a Tuesday, sorry. Unfortunately, I don't have a Torino cap or a Torino top. So if anyone wants to give me a present, I'd love to collect all the Italian tops, even the rival kits, because I'm mad like that. And I've got Juventus tops as well. So normally a normal person wouldn't have both, but because I love Italian football team generally, and I hope that Italian football can improve from a more selfish point of view. Hence, I put it in point number 13, but I hope I don't jinx it. But yeah, I'll probably talk about more about Italian football tomorrow. And on Friday, I'm hoping Italian football to become world class again, and Italian football, that kind of thing. And also on soccer, Saturdays and Sundays. But yeah, I'm jumping ahead of myself. But getting back to the topic at hand, I love for Native Americans to benefit from their own creepypastas and urban legends. A creepypasta is an urban legend. I've mentioned it a while back, but things like the Thunderbird, which is a Native American urban legend. Again, I'm thinking of something that begins with T because it's a Thursday. I'd love for Native Americans to be able to write about and make videos about, films about, and whatnot. Sometimes on YouTube and sometimes actual films about that, so they can benefit from that rather than people culturally appropriating and benefiting from their ideas and things like that, if you like, which I suppose is a problem with cultural appropriation. I mean, some would say the best form of flattery is imitation, I guess. And I've even heard people say about business, like, you should be more worried if people are not copying your ideas because it means you're irrelevant, rather than people copying your ideas. I'm not sure about it, or not, but again, given different views. But moving on, number 14, a reason to find out about some of the weaknesses or troubles that they face. Again, I'm thinking what them with T. Normally I'd say problems or struggles or whatever, but now I'm saying troubles because it's a Tuesday. Is that they can troubleshoot them, they can solve those problems, or have at least more of a chance. Like, I think in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say the first sign is to say you have a problem, and then you can begin to address that issue. So, problem, whatever you want to call it, trouble or whatever. So yeah, addressing some of the issues they face, whether that's with healthcare, finance, teaching, training, education, or whatever. If they know those problems exist, they can look at how to begin to address them, and hopefully it can turn a negative into a positive when it comes to addressing the troubles they face, but also when it comes to like say the Thunderbird and creepypastas or urban legends or whatever you want to call them. I think that's the same sort of thing. I think a modern day version of an urban legend is a creepypasta. If I'm not mistaken, they're the same thing. But people of my dad's generation, whose birthday yesterday, would say it's an urban myth. He said, "Don't worry about it, son. It's just an urban myth." When he talked about certain things in the past, but or it's probably just an urban myth. You should ignore whatever. But nowadays they call it a creepypasta. But yeah, they could benefit from those stories by writing books and movies, things like that, and talking about them on YouTube and reacting to them on YouTube, reacting to scary videos. I'd love to know who the Native American version of Blasphemous HD and other content creators could be, like Chills. I think there's one who goes by the name Creeps. Actually, that's his real name, but Nuke's Top 5 and others, like they react to scary videos. I wonder if Native Americans could do similar, as well as like talking about their own urban legends, creepypastas and that kind of thing, and hopefully monetizing from them. That's a good solution. Hence, I'm putting it in point number 14. Moving on, number 15. I forgot to say in point number 12. There's normally something I forgot, but I forgot to say I'd love to work with organizations such as AIM, the American Indian Movement, ICT, Indian Country Today, and other Native American groups, and maybe talk about like how they can work together. Talk about networking. What if they created areas where Native Americans from all over America, or even Indigenous people from all over the Americas generally, came together and had places where they could discuss ideas on, another word that begins with T, like tourism, but they could discuss how to get into politics, business, tech, banking, and all those sorts of areas. They could have special hubs, I talked about before, centres, hubs, or whatever, where they look at how they can network, look at networking opportunities, funding opportunities, access to funding, teaching, training, and that kind of thing, and look at how to promote their products, goods, services, and that kind of thing, their businesses, and sell things. And in hindsight, I suppose, well, I wanted to focus on things more generally for Tuesday than I would do for Native Americans, but I know in the past I've done things where I've read about, like in October last month, of course, I think pretty much 3 of the 4 Wednesdays I talked about, I think there was 4 Wednesdays in October, but I talked about and I read through a bit about black poets, artists, and writers, and I love to do similar for like businesses for that community, but also for Native Americans. And number 16, I love for there to be think tanks which talk about the best ways to benefit Native Americans. Again, there could be hubs, centres, and whatnot which benefit Native Americans. And I love to have your suggestions and solutions, and basically people getting involved in the discussion in the comments and saying what are the best ways to benefit Native Americans. That kind of thing. Number 17, I hope that, as I say, I hope they can benefit from their imagination, whether they make romance movies, horrors, thrillers, or whatever it might be, and how they can promote their products, selling jewellery, art, and all sorts of different things, which hopefully will benefit their community. And look at how to, again, reinvest. I mean, some people might say save. As I say, I'm a big fan of reinvesting. I wish I could do it myself if I can get my butt into gear, but I'm a great fan of reinvesting. I think it sort of inspires you to think, yeah, I need to really predict how the markets are going to go or whatever. But if you put your money into a saving thing, one, the interest rates are very low, and two, I'm doing a list with a list here, I guess, but and secondly, your inspirational rates in terms of what inspires you, it's a bit boring. It's sort of like, I think when you are inspired to go out and create and things like that, you might do better. But what do you think? I'd love to know. Again, number 18, I'd love to see what positive things we can learn from another word that begins with T, but in this case, Native American traditions. I'm talking about how they look after the earth, nature, and things like that, and how people like me and others can learn about how to look after nature from Native Americans. Number 19, I'd love to look into ways to get Native Americans into tech, ICT, and tech generally. Maybe they could make their own versions of YouTube and TikTok, dare I say. Don't like to say that one, but given I'm using YouTube's platform. But maybe companies like YouTube, TikTok, and whatnot could look at how to help with their content, promote Native American content in that kind of thing. So I'd love for YouTube and TikTok to promote Native American content creators, YouTubers and TikTokers and whatnot in July, August, September and November, especially those 4 months of the year. And number 20, as I say, I hope they can be empowered by tech companies, giving them opportunities and how they can get into business, tech and all sorts of different areas. And I'm out. I'm going to go for my granddad nap, hopefully. I know last time I said I was going to go for a walk, but I sort of got distracted. It took me ages to go for a walk, hence I was behind schedule. But peace and love, and I'm out.